Okay. So imagine, you're just scrolling through your emails, trying to catch up with everybody.
Yeah.
And you see this message, and it's from your sister, and she's freaking out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because her daughter's vanished.
Right, completely gone.
Yeah, and the daughter's this, young woman who's just looking for a, fresh start.
Oh, man, that's scary.
Right.
Where'd she go?
A tropical island.
What? No way.
Yeah, I know.
That's like a nightmare.
I know, and that was the reality for Michelle,
Oh.
Ivonne Baldelli's sister.
Oh, God, that's awful.
Yeah.
So what happened? What makes this even worse? Like, is there more to this?
Oh, yeah. There's way more to it.
Okay.
So, it turns out it was like this web of lies that hid what actually happened to her for years.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's a seriously messed up story. Digital deception, a whole secret life, and a really brutal crime that took forever to figure out.
Yeah, that's awful.
So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
The total disappearance of Ivonne Baldelli. We're going through a true crime podcast episode that, put together her whole case.
Okay.
So we can see, the timeline, the red flags, and the crazy twists that finally got some justice for her.
Yeah.
Even though it took way too long.
Jeez.
I know.
It makes you think, though, how technology can be good and bad at the same time, you know?
Totally. It can help solve a crime, but also be used to commit it.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So you're probably thinking, okay, another true crime story.
Yeah.
But trust me, this one's different.
Really?
Yeah, it's not just about some murder in paradise.
Sure.
It's a warning about how dangerous online lies can be and what people will do to hide what they did.
I'm intrigued now. So where do we start?
Well, let's start with Ivonne herself.
Okay.
So she was this young woman from California, totally full of life, recently divorced and ready for a new beginning,
Oh, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and she loved her family, her dog, Georgia May.
Oh.
I know. And just wanted, a good future.
Yes.
It's just so sad to think, she was so lively and then,
Yeah, what happened to her?
Exactly.
So what was she doing on this tropical island?
Well, that's where Brian Brimmager comes in.
Okay.
This ex-Marine, everyone said, was super charismatic.
Oh.
Charming even.
Okay.
He completely swept Ivonne off her feet.
Wow, so fast.
Yeah, it was a whirlwind romance for sure.
Oh, boy.
And they ended up on Isla Caranero in Panama together.
Panama, wow. So
Yeah.
she liked it there.
At first, she was totally loving it.
Okay.
Her emails back home were all about how amazing it was.
Like what?
Oh, swimming in the ocean, exploring this super lush island with Brian.
Okay.
And she even talked about starting a clothing business.
Oh, wow. So she had plans.
Yeah, it seemed like the perfect escape.
Right. I know, but then it all went downhill.
What happened?
So around Thanksgiving 2011,
Okay.
Ivonne started communicating less and less with her family.
Yeah, emails were way less frequent. Calls went straight to voicemail. She even missed the family reunion.
Oh, that's not good.
I know Michelle was getting super worried.
I bet.
And then she gets this weird text from Brian
About what?
asking about his truck that he'd left in California.
What? His truck?
Yeah.
Why was she supposed to know about his truck?
Right. That's what's so weird.
Okay, yeah.
That's when the alarm bells really started going off for Michelle.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
So then Brian emails Michelle
Okay.
and says he and Ivonne broke up
Oh.
because he had a secret kid.
Wow.
Right.
A secret kid.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So he's saying Ivonne was heartbroken and needed space.
Hmm.
But Michelle knew Ivonne wanted to be a mom more than anything. Yeah, the idea of her leaving Brian over a kid just didn't add up.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like her.
It felt like a total lie.
Oh.
And that's when things get really tricky.
What do you mean?
So after Brian's email,
Yeah.
Michelle gets another one,
Yeah.
supposedly from Ivonne herself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, saying she's in Costa Rica
Oh.
with a new guy trying to move on from Brian.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, at first Michelle was relieved.
Of course.
But then she got confused because Ivonne hadn't contacted anyone else.
Yeah, that's weird.
Right, it was totally out of character.
Yeah.
Something just felt wrong.
Yeah, I get that.
And then it got even weirder.
What happened?
Another email came supposedly from Ivonne.
Oh, really?
Yeah, talking about how much she missed home and how she was going to come back soon.
Huh.
It just felt so staged.
Staged? Like how?
Almost too perfect,
Yeah.
And remember, this is before everyone was online all the time.
True, yeah.
So it just didn't feel right.
Okay.
But meanwhile, Brian was already back in the U.S.,
What?
getting engaged to the mother of his secret kid.
Are you serious?
I know.
So he's living his life.
He was creating this whole story about Ivonne moving on.
While she was God knows where.
While he was just going about his business like nothing happened.
Wow.
It's messed up.
So what happened then? Did Michelle believe him?
Well, not exactly, because you know how he was bragging about selling that machete online?
Oh, right. Yeah, what was that about?
Well, it turns out those emails from Costa Rica,
Yeah.
the IP addresses traced back to Dana Point, California.
Wait, Brian's hometown?
Exactly.
Oh, wow. So he was lying this whole time.
Yep, all the digital breadcrumbs led right back to him.
Oh, my God.
Michelle's worst fears were coming true.
That's terrible.
Yvonne was never in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Brian's story was falling apart.
Wow.
And the truth about what happened to Yvonne was about to come out.
I bet that's scary.
Yeah, it is.
So, like, what happens next? What did Michelle do?
Well, she had all this evidence.
Yeah.
And she knew something was terribly wrong.
Right.
So she went to the FBI.
Oh, wow. She went straight to the FBI.
Yeah, she did.
That's intense.
It was time to find out what really happened to Yvonne.
Right. So what did the FBI do?
Well, they started digging into Brian's past, and it wasn't pretty.
Oh, no. What'd they find?
You won't believe it.
Tell me.
This guy was living a double life.
Really?
Oh, yeah, and it gets a whole lot worse.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
All right, let's get into it. I mean, it's just mind-blowing, right? Like, how could he make up this whole story while Yvonne's family was, searching for her?
It's really disturbing.
It is.
It just shows how someone can be so manipulative.
Yeah.
Using people's trust and technology for their own, messed up reasons.
Totally.
He's playing a really dangerous game.
He was, and for a while it seemed like he was winning.
Yeah, it did.
But Michelle wasn't giving up.
Good for her.
Yeah, she had those IP addresses.
Right.
And she knew something was seriously wrong.
Yeah.
So she went to the FBI.
Wow. That's a big step.
It was.
So what did they do?
They really stepped up the investigation.
Okay.
They started digging into Brian's past.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it was not a pretty picture.
Oh, what'd they find?
It's crazy.
Okay, I'm ready.
So they found out he had a history of erratic behavior, drug use, and this whole pattern of manipulation.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So there were red flags.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Jeez.
And while the FBI was doing their thing in the U.S.,
Yeah.
another investigation was going on in Panama.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What were they looking into?
Well, they were talking to people on Isla Caronero,
Okay.
and what they found out was even worse.
What do you mean?
Well, people described Brian as super controlling and abusive towards Yvonne.
No way.
Yeah.
Like,
How?
well, some people remembered him yelling at her,
Oh, God.
and others even saw him, physically hurting her.
That's terrible.
Dude,
So she was trapped with this guy.
it's just heartbreaking to think about.
It really is.
Yvonne was so full of life,
Yeah.
just wanted a fresh start, and she ended up with this guy.
Yeah, in a toxic relationship.
Exactly.
It's scary how abusers can hide who they really are.
I know, especially at the beginning.
Yeah,
They can seem so charming,
right.
and then they slowly start taking control.
It's messed up.
It is. And Yvonne was isolated on this island with him.
Oh, God.
It's awful. So the investigation in Panama found anything else?
Yeah, they found out that Brian was heavily involved in the drug scene there.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, he was always at bars and hanging out with people who were into some shady stuff.
So we have a manipulator, a history of abuse, and now drugs.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster.
And sadly, Yvonne got caught in the middle of it.
Exactly.
So did they ever find Yvonne?
Well, the search for her went on for almost 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, it was agonizing for her family.
I can't even imagine.
And then finally they found something.
What was it?
A worker was clearing brush in a remote area of the island
Okay.
and stumbled upon this military duffel bag.
Oh, no.
And inside they found Yvonne's remains.
Oh, my God, that's
It
awful.
was a horrifying discovery.
So she was murdered.
Yeah, the FBI figured out that she'd been brutally murdered.
Gee.
Her body was dismembered
Oh, God.
and then dumped in this bag.
That's so messed up.
It was a really awful attempt to hide what he did.
And what about that machete he was selling online?
Oh, yeah. Remember how he joked about using it to dismember a stripper on social media?
Yeah, it was so creepy.
Well, it turned out that it was the same kind of machete used on Yvonne.
Are you serious?
I know, it's chilling.
That's just sick.
It really is. It shows how little he cared.
No remorse.
None.
So what did the FBI do next?
They were amazing. They put together the whole crime. They used forensics, witness statements, and Brian's digital footprint.
Wow, so they had a lot to work with.
They did. And they found out that Brian had cleaned the mattress in their apartment.
Oh.
got rid of all of Yvonne's stuff,
Jeez.
and even made up those emails from Costa Rica.
To throw everyone off.
Exactly. He wanted everyone to think Yvonne was fine and had moved on,
That's crazy.
while he played the heartbroken ex-boyfriend.
He thought he was so smart.
He did, but his lies were falling apart.
Yeah.
And with all the evidence against him,
Mm-hmm.
he was arrested.
Finally.
At first, they charged him with obstruction of justice for lying to the FBI and making up evidence.
Right.
But once they found Yvonne's remains,
Yeah.
the charges were upgraded to murder.
Wow. So it was over for him.
It was the game was up.
So what happened then? Did he confess?
Well, with all the evidence against him,
Yeah.
he finally cracked.
Wow. And told them everything.
He confessed to everything.
Oh, good.
He admitted to drugging Ivonne, beating her, stabbing her, and dismembering her body.
That's horrifying.
It was a truly horrific confession.
And I bet it was devastating for Yvonne's family.
They finally had answers.
Yeah.
But it was also just crushing to hear what she went through.
That's so sad.
It really is. But at least Brian was finally being held accountable for his actions.
Right?
It's a small comfort,
Yeah.
but at least there was some justice for Yvonne.
Yeah.
And her family could finally start to grieve and heal.
It's such a tragic story.
It really is. God, it's just awful what she went through.
It really is.
This whole case, it just leaves you thinking, you know,
Yeah, for sure.
like what really stuck with you?
I think it's how normal Brian seemed. Like he was hiding this horrible darkness, but just blended right in.
Yeah, he was charming, persuasive, and totally ruthless.
And he was starting a new life.
Getting engaged.
While Yvonne's family was searching for her.
It's like he had no conscience.
It's really frightening.
It makes you wonder how many other people are like him.
Right. Like how many Brians are out there just hiding in plain sight.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
It makes you realize you can't just trust appearances.
Right. We have to be careful.
Especially online.
Yeah. People can pretend to be anyone they want.
Exactly.
We can't be naive.
We have to be smarter about who we trust and what we believe.
Absolutely. We got to think critically.
Question everything.
Yeah. Don't just accept things at face value.
And pay attention to those red flags.
Right. Those inconsistencies, those gut feelings.
If something feels wrong, it probably is.
Exactly.
I think Yvonne's story really shows how important it is to look out for each other.
I agree.
Like, if you see something that seems off,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to say something.
It could make a huge difference.
It could save a life.
And you know, Yvonne's family never gave up on her.
They were incredible,
They kept pushing for answers.
and they wouldn't let Brian get away with it,
It's a powerful reminder that we have to fight for our loved ones.
especially when they can't fight for themselves.
Exactly.
So in the end, Brian was sentenced to 26 years in prison. It's not enough, but at least he's being held accountable.
Yeah, it's some justice for Yvonne.
Her story is just so sad.
It is a reminder that even paradise can have a dark side.
And that evil can be lurking anywhere.
But it also shows the strength of the human spirit.
And the power of love and justice.
It's a story that makes you think.
It makes you want to be more careful.
More aware.
And more supportive of people who've been through something similar.
If you want to learn more about Yvonne's case.
You should definitely check out that True Crime Podcast episode we talked about.
Yeah, it goes into even more detail.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive,
Be sure to subscribe to the deep dive for more.
we'll be back soon with another fascinating topic.
Until then, stay curious
Stay informed.
and stay safe.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time.